I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, pick up the goddamn phone, woman. I actually got an email here from a dude that actually said this to a girl, and he wonders why she doesn't want to talk to him anymore. But what we're going to talk about in this video is the importance of practicing infinite patience with women and how it relates to creating attraction. Because all women have an inherent fear that they're going to get into a situation with a guy, because let's face it, most women are physically smaller and weaker than the average guy is going to be, and so women just have an inherent fear that they're going to get themselves into a situation with a guy where the guy's going to want to move things along faster physically than they're ready to move things. And so they have a fear that if they get into those situations, they want to be able to get out of it. And so when you're interacting with a girl, they're sizing you up. They're listening to how you talk to them, how you treat them, how you interact with them, because they're worried about running into a dude who's a stalker, a whack job, a control freak, or a physically abusive type of a man. And at the end of the day, behind anger is always fear. And so when you get angry and you get upset and you blow up at a woman, behind it is always fear. And what's causing the fear? Well, obviously it's weakness within yourself that you're in essence projecting your frustration and your fear and your anger onto the woman, and that's going to scare the shit out of any girl. It's going to cause her to be fearful that she gets into a situation where she gets raped or she gets beat up or just a situation that she just simply doesn't want to be in. And so what's very important to creating attraction is making a woman feel safe and comfortable. And I did an article a while back called Women Want to Feel Safe and Comfortable. And so you have to learn to practice infinite patience to the point where literally you're willing to let a girl go before you'll lash out or you'll chase or you'll pursue or you'll become angry with her. Because you're never going to get anywhere with a girl if you don't have your emotional self-control contained. If you blow up at women like this particular guy did, all you're going to do is communicate weakness and neediness, and you're going to get rejected. Especially in situations where if you'd just been patient and relaxed. I mean, think about it this way. I like to refer to James Bond all the time. I always say it's like 90% charming James Bond, 10% naughty boy. And I think when I look at all the different the actors that have played James Bond, I really love what Daniel Craig does with the character, because he does a great job of portraying a very confident, strong, silent type, charming type of man. And what you notice in all the movies that Daniel Craig has done, he always just takes his time. And when a chick throws up a little token resistance or acts like there's no way he's going to get into her pants, basically, he always has that boyish smirk on his face, kind of like, I know something that you don't know, because he's not worried about it. Because why? Because he's James Bond. And he always gets the girl in the end. And so no matter what she's saying, or, oh, you're never going to get me, you're not my type, whatever, he always ends up with her. And so that's how things always go. And so you want to act as if. And so even if you're not successful and you haven't been through the seduction process successfully with a lot of different women yet, if you act as if it always ends up in the bedroom, then what's the rush? Take your time. It'll do wonders for helping you become more successful at attracting the kind of women that you want and keep them in your life. So this viewer, he says, hey Corey, I met a girl at my office and we started off really well and she started to aggressively flirt with me. Well, that's a sign that she had high interest in you to start with. And that's a nice place to be. It makes it very easy. It's like just like the Adam Carolla once said, it's like with women, when they like you, they'll open all the doors and all you really have to do is just walk through. But if the door starts shutting in your face, then you turn around and you walk away. He says, listen to this. This is where he started to fuck up. He says, we used to talk for hours over the phone at night. You can't cause a woman to fall in love with you by talking to her over the phone. All you'll end up doing is becoming her male girlfriend by doing that. The phone is a device for simply setting dates. Because instead of talking on the phone and arranging like definite dates that are maybe a few days, 2, 3, 4 days, whatever, it happens to be in the future where both you and her actually have a day where both of you are free to get together, it actually creates attraction. It causes you to appear mysterious, because the average guy wants to sit there and he thinks, oh, I got to talk just like this guy. Oh, I got to talk to her for hours and hours and hours on the phone to get her to like me. Well, you can't do that in person. I mean, you have to do that in person. You can't do it over the phone. I mean, think about it, because you can't read her body language if you're talking over the phone. I mean, maybe a little bit if you're doing Skype video chat or you're doing like FaceTime with your iPhone or something like that. But the best thing to do is make an appointment, make a date, and then get off the phone and say, hey, I'll see you then. And then you're doing something that's pretty much different than 99.9% of all the guys that they're going to encounter. And you want a woman wondering about you and thinking about you, because guess what? If you've got a date set up 3 or 4 days from now and she's wondering about you and thinking about you, you're already acting different before you've even met up for your first date than pretty much every guy she's ever going to meet. It completely changes the game and causes her to want you more, because if she's thinking about you, it causes her to like you more. He says, we even had phone sex in the beginning, but later on, I was not able to escalate at the physical level as I was worried that I might screw it up, and I felt a bit ignored by her. That tells me you're chasing and pursuing too much and not setting dates. You're not going to get anywhere by talking to a woman on the phone like this. It's like you get a virtual pen pal in essence. He says, after some weeks passed, I got posted to a different location and we ended up seeing each other less. And one of my friends told me that she's seeing some other guy from my old office, but I ignored it and I kept talking to her as I used to. So you pretty much are basically talking this girl right out of liking you and falling in love with you. He says, again, at one of our office parties, when I had the chance to see her, she started avoiding me and I was shattered at that moment, and I started talking and dancing with other women the same night just to get away from the pain that I was feeling inside. He says, after the party, she asked, why are you giving me so much attitude? So it's obvious, she could tell by looking at you, you were just fucking stewing. And probably, even though you might have been saying nice things, the look in your face and your body language and the tone of your voice was communicating how pissed off you were. And this communicates weakness and neediness. Do you ever see James Bond acting like that? Daniel Craig acting like that in any of his movies? Of course not. Why? Because he always gets the girl. Act as if. Even if your life is not that way, act like a guy acts who is successful with women. Because all you're doing is communicating neediness, insecurity, and that you're not very successful with women. And then when a woman senses that, she realizes, wow, there must be a reason why you're unsuccessful with women. He says, I asked her, what are you doing? And told her, have a great night. And then he left. He said, we did not talk for a month after that. And then during Christmas Eve, I called her up and wished her and told her, it's really good to hear your voice after a long time. And she told me the same. How come you didn't make a date? He says, during the New Year's Eve, I made plans to invite her and get close to her and hook up with her. He says, but she kept telling me that she will let me know. When a woman says that, it means no. Because she doesn't want to reject you, because she's already realized that you don't know what you're doing with women. You obviously said enough, too much on the phone and did too many things that made you look weak and needy and probably like a control freak jerk. And so he says, on New Year's Eve, she didn't show up. And later she wished me Happy New Year and asked where I was. And I told her I was at the party, which I did not go to. He says, so now you're lying to her. He says, so now a few days back, I called her and told her, let's meet up. You don't tell a woman, let's meet up. You say, hey, when are you free to get together? I'd love to see you. It's not about ordering a woman around. And so you're thinking that you got to control women and order them around. And that is the quickest way to get rejected, is by doing that. Think of it this way. It's like you're going about your life and you're like, hey, I'm going to be at such and such place if you care to join me. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hang out. I'd love to have a drink, catch up, whatever. And when she's there, hanging out, having fun with you, you make a move and you hook up when you see the signals and the body language is there, like I talk about in my book. He says, but she did not return my call, and when I asked her what she's up to, she told me that she's with a friend going out and got stuck with something, and he says, I hung up my phone. He says, I got very annoyed and angry, and then the next night I called her up, and she did not pick up my phone call. So I left a message. He says, pick up the goddamn phone. It's like, you're not going to get anywhere. It's like, dude, come on, man. Seriously. You guys ever seen ESPN where the guy's like, come on, man. I mean, He says, after a couple of minutes, she called me and asked me, what did I message? And I told her the same that I wrote. And she told me, you have no right to talk to me like that. You don't own me. I don't want to listen. Or he says, I didn't want to listen. I cut the call. So he just basically hung up on her. That's real mature, dude. You sound like a 5-year-old. He says, I dropped a message saying, I have no intention of offending you, but I am very angry and upset at what you did to me last night. Well, it doesn't sound like you really even had plans with her. It sounds like you ordered her to be there, and you think because you ordered her around that she's just going to show up. He says, I want to make things clarified to you so that I can concentrate on our future once and for all. Well, obviously, when you start talking about the future, and you really haven't even gone out on a date, and you've already talked her out of going out with you. I mean, this girl liked you from the get-go, and you just totally fucked it up and fumbled the football. I mean, obviously, you didn't know any better, but it's like, this is about absolutely, you're making about as many mistakes as you like, the worst mistakes you could make, it's like you're making all of them. And he says, so I decided to move on. He says, please help me and tell me what I should do. He says, I've registered with your website, and I appreciate all your information. Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, you got to chalk it up to experience, and the first thing that I would suggest to you is to go to my website and start reading my book. And underneath the email sign-up box, there's a box that has a link that'll take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page. And if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. By reading my book, you'll learn the basics, because there's obviously a lot of really bad behavior here that you need to cut out. And so one thing I'd say is I appreciate the laugh, because when I was reading this, I was like, I got to do a video coaching newsletter on this, because this is fucking hilarious. But so thanks for making me laugh, and all of my YouTube viewers laugh and get a chuckle out of it, and everybody gets to learn from your mistakes of what not to do. So read my book, learn the basics, and start applying that. You got to practice infinite patience with women. When you leave a message for a girl and she doesn't get back to you, some women will purposely not call a guy back right away that they just met, especially if they sense a little bit of weakness or insecurity in them, because they want to see if you're going to basically react the way you did, because women want to avoid guys like you like the plague. Guys like you scare the shit out of women. And if you keep doing this, you're going to be single for a very long time, dude. And so patience is the way to go. So if you have a question you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max, and just give me several weeks to get back to you with a response. And if you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, or my ebook, go to my website, and on the Wibia toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.